Hello and welcome back to the Bearded Geek Toy Review channel. In today's episode, we're going back in time to 1998 to discover that the truth is out there with the 1998 X-Files movie figures from McFarlane. Stay tuned.
I'm an annoyance to my superiors, a joke to my peers. They call me Spooky. Spooky Mulder. I'm the key figure in an ongoing government charade. The plot to conceal the truth about the existence of extraterrestrials.
Welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, we've got 4 X-Files figures from the movie The X-Files that was released by 20th Century Fox back in 1998 between seasons 5 and 6, I believe, even though the film was actually filmed in the production hiatus between series 4 and 5, just to allow them to make sure that they had enough time to get the movie produced in post-production and stuff. So obviously the X-Files, or what can you say, if you're not aware of the show, check it out. If you subscribe to Disney Plus, obviously with Disney's purchase of 20th Century Fox, you will find that the full 9-season series, as well as the 2 mini seasons that they did a couple of years back when they revived the show for a limited run of episodes, are on there. I think the 2 movies are on there as well, the one from 1998 and then you have the one from 2008 called I Want to Believe. Now, these figures I actually purchased back in 1998, and bizarrely, I purchased them in a kind of like music store in Paris on the Champs-Elysees. I was on holiday that summer and I hadn't seen these figures at all anywhere in Manchester or Forbidden Planet or anywhere, and obviously there wasn't really much of an internet back in 1998. So, you know, you had to actually search shops for this kind of thing. So there I was, walking on the Champs-Elysees, popped into a music store just to have a browse, and then behold, they have these figures here. Now, I can't remember how much I paid for them. I think I probably paid around 15 to 20 euros, probably, which might have been what they were going at the time. I'm not too sure. Now, this isn't the full wave. We'll get into that in more detail. There were 2 other releases, I think, as well as a couple of variant re-releases that came out. But sadly, this line didn't take off, even though the film was a box office success. And although they're labelled as Series 1, there was never any further figures produced beyond these initial waves. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into more detail about the figures, and we'll also discuss the show as well. So, as I stated in my introduction, these 4 figures were released to coincide with the 1998 spin-off movie that was released between 2 of the television seasons. Obviously, season 5 was probably, I would say, the peak of the X-Files popularity. It really was probably one of the shows of the 1990s, along with shows such as Friends, Seinfeld, Frasier, ER. It was one of those big shows that was a huge global hit. And I remember it obviously debuting on BBC Two back in 1994, a year after it debuted in the States, and where it started to gain momentum and really took off in Series 2. And it got to such a point that halfway through Series 2 being shown on BBC Two, they actually moved it to BBC One. And some episodes actually got in excess of like 9-10 million viewers. That's how big this show was. Which is absolutely amazing. You wouldn't get that from an imported US show now, because usually they get kind of like put on streaming services or moved on to obscure digital channels, and they very rarely hit prime time channels such as BBC One or ITV these days. So there's 4 figures that I've got in this wave. So you've got Agent Fox Mulder, Agent Dana Scully. Now these 2 figures are from the beginning of the movie, when they're investigating what's happened, when there was a bomb explosion in a building in Texas, which doesn't seem entirely how it was. Now, if you're not familiar with the show, The X-Files is essentially the story of Fox Mulder, who's an FBI agent, who has kind of like been a little bit disgraced and been moved to the basement of the FBI to investigate mysterious phenomena and essentially UFO sightings, monster sightings, all the stuff that the FBI would probably say, that's ridiculous, we're not investigating that. But the X-Files is the nickname that the division has because it's filed under X, as in unexplained. Now in the pilot episode, Dana Scully, fresh out of qualifying for the FBI, she's a medical doctor who's had a career change. Now her task is to essentially be assigned to partner up with Fox Mulder and essentially debunk his work. To say that obviously, you know, none of the stuff that he's investigating exists or can easily be explained through certain explanations, and it isn't like this strange phenomena, all these alien UFO sightings or monster sightings or things that, you know, the phenomena that they investigate, it is just basically false and can be debunked. But you know, the relationship builds with the characters, and obviously there's an overall conspiracy arc that runs throughout the show, which the show, I will admit, did get a little bit bogged down in. It kind of like got a little bit too convoluted at times, certainly after the movie came out. So from series 6 onwards, the movie arc was, the conspiracy arc really was a little bit too convoluted. And then obviously I think the show started to lose popularity around about season 7, and season 7 ended on a big cliffhanger with Fox Mulder abducted by aliens, and he was more or less missing for the majority of season 8, where they brought in Robert Patrick, more famous as the T-1000 from Terminator 2, as the new partner for Dana Scully, Agent John Doggett. And then he remained with the show up until season 9, where the show finished, and Dave Duchovny came back for the final episode. And then the show took a break, and then they produced a second film, which stupidly was released the same week as The Dark Knight, so absolutely bombed at the box office in 2008. And then several years ago, I think 2016, they brought it back for a TV miniseries, 6 episodes, which is now labelled as Series 10, and that was such a success that they brought it back for a further 10 episodes, which I think in 2018, or 2019, I'm not too sure. I think it's 2018 that the season 11 was broadcast, and that effectively wrapped up the whole show and wrapped up all the story points. So you know, it's good. I would worth checking it out if you haven't got like the DVD or the Blu-ray box set. Like I said, you can stream it on Disney Plus, where they've got all the episodes and the 2 movies on there. So, well, that's a brief description of the show and what it did. And I will admit, I was a huge fan, absolute huge fan of this. So let's just have a look at the back of the packaging on all of these figures before we get to have a closer look at them. Now, the rear packaging is virtually the same and does show the different figures that you can get in the wave. Like I said, I haven't got the full wave, but you can see the other figures, except for what you have there, and then move through. Now, what we have here is a completely different rear of the packaging for the main Fox Mulder figure. But it does give a bio of the actual characters, Agent Dana Scully and Agent Fox Mulder, which you get on the back of all the packaging. And then as you can see there, you've got obviously the different figures. Now obviously I have Agent Mulder. Oh, we've got just getting a bit of light there. Agent Scully with the alien, and then the two ones from the wave which I don't have, which I didn't find, and I wasn't too fussed about not getting them. So you've got the attack alien with the caveman, which is from the opening scene of the movie, and then the fireman who's in the kind of like a hazmat sealed chamber to obviously contain the infection that he's come down with. So there's all the various different figures. There's a quick thing about the bio. You can see join the X-Files official club. I don't think it's still going. And obviously the old style McFarlane Toys logo. And then you've got a different bio at the top there. For years, the world has seen reality distorted, facts manipulated, and truth hidden. There's even more to the story than anyone suspected, because no one has been able to see the whole picture until now. Cherish the past, enjoy the present, because the truth is coming. The X-Files fight the future. Now you'll see on the front of the packaging, you've got the standard kind of like movie pose image of the two agents, but what you won't see is fight the future on any of the logos, because it was a common miscomprehension that fight the future was the subtitle of the movie. It wasn't, it was the tagline, similar to, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, may the force be with you, the Star Wars saga continues, etc, etc. It was a publicity tagline, fight the future. It wasn't the official title of the movie. The 1998 movie was basically just called The X-Files. Now, two of these figures have been opened, and I probably think I opened them at the time that I purchased them, which are the standard agents there. So those are the ones we're probably going to have a look in more closer detail next, and then obviously we'll have an overview of the other two figures as well. So here we've got Agent Fox Mulder, and it's for 1998. That's not a bad likeness at all, and the sculpting and the detail is actually quite good. He does come with one accessory, which is a torch. Interestingly, none of these figures come with what would you expect a FBI agent to have, which is a gun. They don't appear to have that. And you've got the person who's been infected, who they find in the Arctic base, which later turns out to be something completely different. But, I'm not going to spoil that for you if you've not seen the film. And as you can see, look at that. So I have, at some point, opened this figure way back then. I think I'm just going to probably get the old Stanley knife to it and just give it a bit more of a prise open, and then we can have a look at the figure in more detail. Hardly had to prise that open at all. Literally, it just came apart straight away. Now, the good thing about this is it looks like there's no cable ties. Oh, did I speak too soon? I think I did. Yeah, there's a cable tie there which is holding the guy in place, so I can't quite get that out there. Apologies for the noise. Let's get Fox Mulder out and have a closer look at him. Now, as I said, for 1998, That's really not a bad sculpt at all. You know, the paint application probably could do with being probably a little bit better. But that's actually quite good. And you know, he comes with our standard articulation. He looks like he's virtually a 5 point, well, not even that. There's some articulation there on one of the arms. There's articulation on the hands, so they move. Oh, he's got a watch under there. That's a nice little touch. But there's no articulation on the legs whatsoever. So this is very much a kind of display piece. There's not going to be much action in there. Oh, there you go. His head does move. I do like the FBI badge there on his jacket. Nice paint application on the tie. But beyond that, yeah, very surprised at the lack of articulation. Those legs are literally just one solid piece of plastic. There is articulation in the waist, so that is effective. No articulation on that arm though. That's just a solid piece bar the hand which moves. So you can have him hail a taxi. Taxi! Which I think he does actually at one point in the movie. But beyond that, yeah. Nice figure. Disappointing that there's articulation, but I think this was quite early in the day of McFarlane Toys as a company. I think they'd only been going a couple of years from 1998, so a huge difference to obviously how the company is now. And obviously you've probably seen some of my other videos where I review the DC Multiverse line, which is made by McFarlane, and they have 22 points of articulation they promote their figures with. So there you go. There's Agent Fox Mulder, as played by David Duchovny. And the other figure in the set is the infected human who I've managed to get out. Now it does come with some instructions, and it shows that the pod connection assembly instructions. So it shows that you can actually have two of the pods connected together, which is a nice little touch there. Which I might do. I might actually connect the two of those pods together. So, but this is a very strange figure. Now these are the humans who have been infected with the alien virus. So the pod opens up like that, and particularly gruesome. That's quite a gruesome look. And he's got a really weird rubbery feel. Yeah. That's that. Oh, the very much, obviously no articulation in this figure, but it's just made out of that a very kind of like silicone, I think, and you can just see the insides of the figure there. That's suitably quite disgusting because you don't really see it in much detail in the movie. It's all kind of like heavily implied. Even though the film is like a 15, but yeah, and then you can close the pod like that, like so, or you'd have the pod open slightly. Yeah, that's very, very freaky, and it does stand up like that on its own, and I presume then you can connect the pieces together, which go together like that. So you've got that connecting there. So I presume you would then put the pod, oops, the figure's going to fall out, rest it on there for it then to go together with the other pod. And I'm not seeing anything to connect it onto, which is a bit bizarre because that looks quite rickety. Let's just have a look at that and see how that works. I can see, oh, there you go. It's got 2 points there for you to place that in. Click that in place. That's a lot steadier. It's a lot steadier there. So you then have the figure there Yeah, suitably disgusting. Just shows you how, like, obviously varied the X-Files was. Okay, let's have a look at Agent Scully. As you can see already, this figure, yeah, already opened. So don't have to do much prizing here. Oops. Oh, and the figure's already falling out. So let's just put that there. Put that back there. Pop Agent Scully out. Let's have a closer look at her. Yeah, you can tell it's Gillian Anderson. Again, not a lot of articulation. Nothing on the legs at all. Swivel on one of the arms. Presume for it to wave. Hi. Nothing on the arm there. Movement on the head. And some movement around the waist as well. Very, very lack of articulation. But does come with one accessory, which is a mobile phone. Which is there. Which I presume you can put in that hand. Big chunky mobile phone. You can always judge a TV series in the 90s with the mobile phone that they have. So we can have her with the mobile phone. Again, it is strange that FBI agents, you know, they run around with guns and stuff. They don't actually come with them. So yeah, for 1998, that face sculpt's not bad. You know, I do think the paint job's probably a little bit too heavy on it. And probably there's a better sculpt of actress Gillian Anderson underneath that. But there's Agent Scully. Now, I'm not going to get this out because I'm not going to have this out on display, but it does come with a bed, an ambulance kind of like stretcher, and then you've got the dead body of the fireman, which is wrapped up in cloth and sealed together. And I'm just guessing probably underneath there it's going to be suitably, more of the mushy stuff, kind of like decomposing body under there. I'm not sure I can get that under there, but it does give you a kind of like indication of what that figure looks like. I'll try and have a look on the internet and see if there's some images of what this figure actually looks like without the blanket over him, because I really don't want to take that off. I'll keep that as it is. Well, a suitably grim figure that they come across in the morgue as they're investigating the bombing from Dallas, Texas. Now, here's the other Agent Scully figure. Again, she comes with a mobile phone accessory, and there's the other infected human in the pod that you can see. Again, you can also tell straight away there, limited articulation on that figure. I'm not going to have this one out. I'll probably keep this one in the packaging. But I'm tempted to get this figure out so I can have the two of them side by side there. I think that might be a very, very good look there. But again, you know, you can tell with the sculpt as it is for 1998. Yeah, it looks like Gillian Anderson. Looks fairly okay. But again, something which would probably be done a lot better in this day and age. But you do see a lot of these on, eBay. They're not going for a lot because I think various merchandise from the X-Files hasn't hit that kind of like wave of renaissance yet. So it is one of those shows that had loads and loads of merchandise, but just not to the point where it's gone up in value on the secondary market now. Now here you've got Fox Mulder. Now again, from the end of the movie, similar to the other Agent Scully figure, Dana Scully, where they're in their Arctic fatigues as they're visiting the Arctic base, which is where all the infected humans are stored. And you've got the alien, one of the aliens that kind of like is being incubated in the infected humans. That kind of like is what feeds on the insides of the infected humans, and then is born and bursts through. So that's a really good figure. I think we're going to just crack that one open and have a closer look at it. Here's a closer look at the alien figure. Now you could get an attack alien which had a different head sculpt with the caveman figure, which I may still pick up at a later date if I can get it for a good enough, cheap enough price on eBay. But again, there's not really much. In fact, there's virtually no articulation on this figure at all. Oh, there's some movement in the arms, but it's restricted by this kind of like design of the shoulder. So yeah, you can move it, but then it just quickly pulls back into place. So I presume that's supposed to be a more of a flexible plastic than what it actually is. Well, like you see, you're not really able to do much with that particular thing. And again, the same issue on that side. There's no articulation in the head, because the head's actually made out of a more rubberized plastic than the solid plastic of the figure. Articulation, the legs do sometimes move, so you could have him posed in a certain way if you wish to. But it's a great sculpt. It looks fantastic. I suppose if you're only having it on for display purposes, that is really, really good. And the paint job's really, really good on that figure as well. Suitably creepy. There's an alien from the X-Files movie. And finally, there we have our figures all set up. A nice little display piece there with the ability to put the two pods together. And obviously, if you have subsequent pods, you've got further attachments that you can put at each side, which obviously you could then have a row of pods, similar to how it appeared in the movie. In the Arctic base, you've got the alien behind, and you've got Agents Fox Mulder and Agent Dana Scully front and centre with their accessories, a torch and a mobile phone. Really nostalgic, does take me back to this show. I do remember before they did the miniseries, I did a huge marathon rewatch of the show with the new HD masters that they'd done, which were available on Blu-ray. The film was kind of like preempted and filmed completely on film in HD and in letterbox for the full 9 series. So it really does look absolutely pristine if you were to buy it on Blu-ray or stream it in HD from Disney+. So there's the X-Files movie figures from 1998. Hope you like this little trip down memory lane to one of the most remembered TV shows and cultural phenomenons of the 1990s. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, then please leave us a like and subscribe. This isn't my usual setup. I usually film from my kind of like Fortress of Solitude, which is downstairs. I just utilised the new converted loft just because there's actually more space, and these are quite big packages, big figures, and I wanted to get them all in the same shot at the same time. So don't get too used to this setup, and I know it's a little bit echoey. I'll try and fix that in the sound edit. But in the meantime, please leave a like if you've really enjoyed this video and really liked going down memory lane to reminisce about the X-Files TV series and the movie. And if you haven't already, please also subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified whenever we upload some new videos. New videos coming up, we have some DC Multiverse still to come. Star Wars Black Series, because it's nearly Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. So look out for some videos on that day. And also we've got some Marvel Legends, as well as a few other surprises as well. So in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and thank you very much for watching Bearded Geek Toy Reviews. See you soon. Take care.
Trust no one, Mr. Mulder.
Hello and welcome. Try again.